That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, I thought we'd start with the big story for people maybe just, heading home who didn't know. Donald Trump in the news today, rolling back those tariffs, those massive tariffs to, I don't know how many countries. It depends who you listen to. But I want you to hear what he said the reason for this was. He was speaking last night to a dinner, a Republican Congressional Committee dinner. This is what Donald Trump said to the people in that room about the tariffs.
Don't let some of these politicians go around saying, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
Jim, I don't even know how to react to that other than, I don't know, kind of not the kind of thing you'd expect from a president, I guess, is the way I would put it. But then again, Donald Trump is nothing like anything that's ever been there before. So,
well, you could apply that assessment to everything he's done since January 20th, Aaron. I think that the point we're missing here as well is because, remember, this is another please, sir story from Donald Trump. I personally think it was the phone call from the Penguins on her to McDonald Island that really turned them around the bend. And don't forget, the fact that the version we're hearing, I can tell you, is absolute BS simply because the reference he made to Republicans who are grandstanding was a reference to Republicans in the House who are fed up with his trade war and are fed up with his spending. And we're basically going to mutiny and say, listen, if you don't get back into line with the budget and stop spending more money than Democrats spent, we are not going to support you. And that was the real theme of that dinner last night. But all that to one side, I think the part I find the most galling, and I know you're going to get text over this, and I don't really care, is the perpetual normalization of Donald Trump. Oh, what's he doing now? I know the fanboys are all going to write in and start calling, hey, out of the deal, he's a genius. The guy is a demonstrable lunatic and incompetent. This is only happening. My understanding is this is only happening because it became quite clear, it was made quite clear to Mr. Trump that unless he backs down, there might be a real runoff on U.S. bonds, which would bring the value of the U.S. dollar even lower than that of the Canadian. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing. The guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's the one who's grandstanding. It's costing us money right now. I think a lot of our listeners were, with portfolios, we're checking them. You're somewhat less broke than you were the day before, as we heard on the news as well, or as in fact you mentioned on the show. Our government is asking Trump what the hell this means for us, what, if anything, it means for us. But all that said, I think that once again, here's Donald Trump coming through for Mark Carney, because if it looked like, if this was a legit, okay, listen, you know what, I may have been wrong here, and let's all take a deep breath and see if we can renegotiate and do whatever. No, he's still coming across like the blowhard lunatic he is, and that does nothing but enhance that sense of confidence that a sector of the electorate has in Mark Carney being the only guy who can deal with Donald Trump. And even though fundamentally that is the wrong way, the wrong one-issue approach to choose your prime minister, the fact of the matter is we are seeing that become more and more invested in this exercise with each passing day.
That is true, which again brings up the question that I would have, which if Dominic LeBlanc, our trade minister, who's now trying to get some clarity on this, comes back with anything good, again, that's a win. I guess that's how it's perceived, right, for Mark Carney. So
absolutely, and it's really frustrating because he's in he's in a no-lose situation. Because theoretically, I have less to worry about now. Things are getting better. But the Liberals will spin as, well, look, if it hadn't been for Mark Carney, this would have happened, blah, 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 vote for Carney. And it's tough. It's going to be tough for Pierre Poilievre. Even in the debate, it's going to be tough for Pierre Poilievre to come up against this because he hasn't changed his tone. He hasn't pivoted in his campaign. And it's becoming more and more apparent that, like Donald Trump and some other politicians you and I have discussed, some of them in this country, or when confronted with a suggestion that maybe you're on the wrong course, he simply doubles down.
Which is what he continues to do. All right, let me just go to something else that you have in here, Jim, which is interesting. We had Colton Prale sort of running down what was said on the campaign trail today, and one of them came up. One of the issues that he brought up concerned this Mark Carney announcement about a national energy superpower, something he wanted to turn Canada into. But to your point, never ever using the word pipeline. So what is this about?
I have checked every single piece of documentation in case it changed by the time I spoke to you since this announcement. We're talking about energy corridors. We're talking about a national, electrical powering policy. We're talking about making it easier to approve energy projects. As if all of a sudden someone in the Liberal Party had discovered that you can transport natural gas and petroleum in an eco-friendly burlap bag. No, you have to build a pipeline, and that word does not occur simply because it will occur down the road. It will occur in the context of holding up to a fundamental element of Carney's trade strategy, i.e. relying less on the U.S., getting our resources either to the west or east coast for sale overseas, and that is going to require a distribution system, i.e. a pipeline. And I just kind of laughed out loud when I saw he's not mentioning it in the announcement simply because this is the kind of thing that they'll just seize upon that one word. I mean, right now, François Legault is in a very difficult situation because he has come out and he's spouted off about dirty energy coming from out west, coming from Canada, and he doesn't want to have any part of that, although now he's a little more circumspect.
Yeah.
François Blanchet of the Bloc, he doesn't care. He's riding that missile to detonation. He's saying he doesn't want to have anything to do with dirty energy from Canada. But the reality is, and we look at the surveys, and it's not just now, this has been going on for years, most Quebecers are not averse to the idea. If the idea was to buy less American oil or buy less foreign oil, most of them do not have a problem with pipelines in Quebec. So this, to a certain extent, seems to have been an optic that was created certainly by some politicians, by some environmental groups, by some picture bylines in various newspapers. But the fact is, most people are saying, especially now, if we can reduce our reliance on foreign powers, if we can in fact, in terms of garnering revenue, if we can do this on our own, there's going to be a lot of support for that idea. That said, I just find it funny that even now, the word that dare not speak its name is pipelines, and yet pipelines run literally and figuratively through the entirety of Carney's energy announcement today.
So you got to think this will come up at the debate, obviously, because it's 180 degrees diametrically opposed to Poilievre's idea. How does Mark Carney sort of make hay here?
Well, the thing is, it'd be a bit of a tough sell for Pierre Poilievre to turn around and say no to pipelines. He's been calling for that since the beginning of his career. So who do you have left? Well, you've got Jagmeet Singh of the NDP and Monsieur Blanchet of the Bloc, two parties whose futures are very, very much in doubt. I'm sure they'll make a big splash with it. They'll try and raise it. But the fact is, apart from preaching to their own ever-shrinking choirs, I don't see how this is going to be. I mean, there probably will be something to bring down Mark Carney with in the debates in English and in French, but I don't think this is going to be it. I think at this point, a lot of people, even though 6 months ago they would have said, I'm not, look what's happening to the climate. This is crazy. I think a lot of people's attitudes have changed for better or for worse, and this is going to be a go, no matter who does it.
By the way, just real quick to your other point, Jim, in the note today. So Mark Carney, there was a story yesterday. I guess Yves-François Blanchet was involved. I know Simon Jolin Barrette was calling on judges that are going to be appointed federally to make a point for the federal government to actually name some from Quebec. Carney spoke out about this?
Carney, no, let's be careful. First of all, let's give credit where it's due. François Legault is behind all of this, and the idea is Quebec is reviving its so-called request that it have a say, a real final say, in the nomination of judges to Superior Court and the Quebec Court of Appeal, which have been the purview of the federal government. Today, late yesterday, Carney said, no way, it's a part of our Constitution and we're not going to change it. But the fact is, it's an amazing coincidence, Aaron, that after, a week, 10 days after the Quebec Court of Appeal decided to uphold a decision that found Bill 40, Legault's attempt to blow up English school boards, was basically a law written in Crayola on a cocktail napkin. No. We need judges from Quebec who understand the issues in Quebec, which in and of itself, when you say this, is so ridiculous. But on top of everything else, Aaron, look at everything that we're in the middle of right now, and look at what François Legault, via Simon Jolin Barrette, decides to raise as a potential issue in this campaign. And you got to say, and that's something we've seen over and over again, when it comes to reading the room, François Legault is even worse than Mr. Magoo. This guy does not have a clue about what in the hell is going on around him. The last thing anybody in Quebec, in his own hinterland, are talking about is flexing, Quebec flexing its muscle and being able to have a say in the nomination of judges, because apparently a Quebec judge, and to say this out loud, Aaron, it's like a Quebec judge is going to be more sympathetic to Quebec than some other judge, even though the judges that are nominated by the feds are from Quebec. All that said, it's like, what are you guys doing? And you really have to wonder at this point whether François Legault is, politically speaking, 100% here, or whether he's trying to think, well, this is all a bad dream of the overseeing. I can go back to the status quo of antagonizing the feds. I don't know what's going on, but I was absolutely gobsmacked not to see this attempt to sort of weasel their way into naming judges, but the timing of it, I just found extremely, extremely crazy.
Maybe just shifting the focus away from everything else they're involved in now that's so bad. Jim, I thank you. Appreciate it.
That's a match.